The trade. He only wanted payment. But when the alien merchant dragged out a chained, wounded girl instead of credits, the human paused. She looked him in the eyes, unbroken. The dusty air inside the spaceport smelled like oil and metal. Ships roared above, landing and taking off like hungry beasts. People from 10 different species shouted deals, traded junk, and argued over weapons. Dane Carter stood still. He was a human, tall, tired, and wearing a brown jacket full of burn holes and old blood stains. His ship, the Rustwing, had just finished a dangerous job, smuggling medical crates past an Empire checkpoint. It wasn't legal, but it paid well, or at least it should have. Now the alien who hired him, Groln, a merchant with gray, wrinkled skin and 4 twitching eyes, stood before him with no credits. Dane crossed his arms. "Where's my payment?" Groln hissed through sharp teeth. "I told you. Empire froze my funds. I have another form of payment." Dane's eyes narrowed. "I don't want junk, Groln." "It's not junk," the merchant said. "It's alive." He clapped his hands. From the shadows behind the crates, 2 guards dragged out something. No, someone. It was a girl. Alien, but humanoid. Skin like faint silver, hair like ink, and golden eyes that burned like fire. Her wrists were chained, and her lip bled. Yet even as they pushed her forward, she stood tall. She didn't beg. She didn't cry. Groln grinned. "She's from the Shari warrior caste. Very rare. Very expensive. She's worth 3 times what I owed you." Dane stared at her. She stared back. Even in chains, she looked proud. Dangerous. "She doesn't look broken," Dane said. "She will be," Groln replied. "Give her time. She bites, though. Nearly killed my handler. But for you, a strong pet, or a good price on the outer rim." Dane didn't move. He wasn't a saint. He had seen things in this galaxy. Wars, slavery, blood. He wasn't shocked. But something in her eyes, something about the way she didn't flinch, it stopped him. The girl spoke, her voice low and sharp. "I will kill you if you take me." Dane tilted his head. "That's not a great way to ask for help." "I'm not asking," she said. Groln laughed. "She thinks she's still royalty." Dane looked at her again. He saw pain, but no fear. The chain on her neck tugged as the guards pulled her closer. Dane sighed. "I don't take slaves." Groln leaned in. "Then you get nothing." The port around them was busy. People passed. No one cared. No one looked. Dane looked at his ship, then back at her. "You feed her." Groln blinked. "She doesn't eat much. Won't speak the trade tongue." She just did. Dane walked over. The guard stepped back. She didn't. She looked up at him. "How long have you been in chains?" he asked. She didn't answer. Dane bent down and picked up her chain. The girl tensed, ready to strike. But he didn't hit her, didn't pull. He gently took the end of the chain and walked away. "Come on," he said. "You're with me now." Groln laughed, clapping. Smart choice, human. But Dane didn't smile. As he walked back to his ship, the girl walked behind him, quiet but alert. The chain between them barely moved. Inside the Rustwing, Dane led her to a small room. He unlocked the collar. She rubbed her neck, not looking at him. "There's food in the box," Dane said. "Clean water, too." She sat, back against the wall. Dane watched her. "I didn't save you," he said. "Let's get that clear." She nodded once. He waited, then asked, "What's your name?" No answer. He sighed and turned to leave. But just before the door closed behind him, he heard her whisper something. It wasn't in trade tongue. The ship's AI failed to translate. Dane paused. He didn't know why, but the words made the hair on his neck stand up. Back in the cockpit, he sat in silence, staring at the stars outside. He had taken a girl as payment. But something told him, She was going to cost him everything. The escape attempt. She waited until he slept. Silent feet, shaking hands, a knife in the dark. But what she found was not fear. The small ship drifted through the stars, silent like a ghost. Inside it, one door creaked open without a sound. The alien girl moved slowly. Her silver skin glowed faintly under the emergency lights. Her long black hair clung to her face as she crept through the hallway. Her eyes, gold like fire, scanned every shadow. Her fingers gripped a small blade, stolen from the repair bay. She had waited for this moment. She had watched him. She had memorized the hum of the engines, the beep of the air filters, the rhythm of his footsteps. And now, finally, the human was asleep. Dane Carter was snoring in the pilot's seat, boots kicked up, arms crossed. The stars outside rolled by like soft lights. He didn't hear her coming. The girl stepped close, heart pounding. She raised the blade. Just one cut. Just 1 second. She could take the ship and fly away. No more chains. No more collars. No more men calling her slave. But something strange happened. He opened his eyes. He didn't jump, didn't scream. He just looked at her. The blade hovered over his chest. Her hands trembled. "I could kill you," she said. He nodded. "Yeah, you could." She blinked. That wasn't fear in his eyes. It wasn't anger either. He sat up, slowly, like he wasn't even surprised. "Why didn't you do it yesterday?" he asked. She clenched her jaw. "I wanted to. But you didn't. I didn't have a blade. You had teeth." She hesitated. He stood and walked past her, just like that. No fight. No shouting. He walked to the small kitchen unit, grabbed a metal container, and poured water into a cup. He placed it on the table. Then another one. Then a small pack of dried food. "You're hungry," he said. "Sit. I'm not your pet." "Good," he said. "I hate pets." She stood still, blade still in hand. "Eat," he said again, "or stab me. But pick one." Her arm slowly dropped. She sat. They didn't speak for a while. Only the sound of chewing and soft breathing filled the room. She ate quickly, like someone who hadn't had a full meal in days. Maybe weeks. After a moment, Dane looked at her. "You're Shari, right?" She didn't answer. "Fighter caste," he said. "That explains the eyes." Still no answer. "You had a name once. What was it?" She looked up. Her voice was sharp. "What does it matter to you?" He shrugged. "Just trying to show you I don't care what Grown called you. I don't call people slave." She looked at the table. A few seconds passed. Then she whispered, "Reka." Dane smiled just a little. "Reka," he repeated. "Strong name." "It means fire that survives," she said, barely audible. He nodded. "I like that." Later that night, Reka sat alone in her small room. No chains, no collar, just silence. She stared at her hands. They were scared from old fights, burns, and the rough grip of slavers. Her legs still hurt from beatings. But her heart was still her own. She hadn't killed him. Why? He was human, like the ones who sold her, like the ones who laughed when she screamed. But he looked at her like she was real, like she mattered. And that scared her more than the collar ever did. In the cockpit, Dane reviewed old data, Empire maps, flight paths, pirate signals. He wasn't just flying aimlessly. He had a plan, but it needed time. Then the ship's eye beeped. Unknown transmission intercepted. Dane leaned in. Tracking signal detected. Origin, Imperial frequency. Range, 0.9 light seconds. His blood ran cold. Someone was looking for them. He tapped the console. "How long until they reach us?" "Unknown. Signal is not from a ship, possibly a drone." He stood up and walked to Reka's door. Knocked once. "It's me." No answer. He opened the door slowly. Reka stood near the back wall, staring at the floor. "They're coming," she said. He frowned. "You heard the signal." She nodded. "Who?" She looked at him. Her voice was flat. "The Empire. They always come. When they lose something, they'd never forget." Dane cursed under his breath. "I can drop you at the next port," he said. "Find you a safe place." She shook her head. "No place is safe. They'll burn it to the ground just to catch me." "Then what do you want me to do?" She looked him in the eye. "Fly faster." The hunter's signal. A sound no human could hear pulsed through space. One note. Then silence. Reka froze. Her skin went cold. "They found me," she whispered. The stars outside blinked like cold eyes. Inside the rust wing, everything was quiet. Until the ship's AI gave a soft alert. Unidentified signal detected. Pulse-based, not from any known beacon. Dane Carter sat up from his chair in the cockpit. The screen flashed blue and red with a rotating wave. It wasn't a message. It wasn't a call. It was a pulse. One note, repeating every 20 seconds. Faint, hidden in the static of space. He tapped a few buttons. Location. Signal origin. Deep space. Approximate source unknown. Tracing. Who sends something like that? He muttered. From the back of the ship, a voice answered. Hunters. Reka stood at the edge of the cockpit. Her golden eyes stared at the screen like it was a ghost. Dane turned. "You know that sound." She nodded once, very slowly. Her voice dropped low. "It's not a message. It's a mark. A mark." "A tracker," she said. "Not for ships. For prey." Dane blinked. "You mean like a tag?" Reka walked closer to the console. "They used it on Shari warriors. When one of us escaped, they didn't chase us with ships." He leaned in. "Then what?" "They sent a signal. A code only our kind could hear." Dane frowned. "What do you mean here?" Reka touched the back of her neck. Her skin shimmered. And for the first time, he saw it. A small, nearly invisible circle, burned into her flesh like a brand. Ancient tech. "That's not a tattoo," he said. "No," she said. "It's a seal, deep under the skin. Empire designed. It vibrates when the signal comes." She took a breath. "And now it's vibrating." Dane stood quiet. His heart beat faster. "So they're close." Reka nodded. "Closer than we want." They moved fast. Dane rerouted the ship's course, jumping away from common trade lanes. He turned off all outer lights and set the ship to low power. The stars outside faded into black. Inside, Reka stood near the window, arms crossed. Dane looked at her. "How did you get away?" he asked. She didn't answer. "I mean, you were a princess, right? Or something close to it." "I was," she said. "Once." He waited. She didn't look at him, just kept staring into space. "They took my planet," she said. "Broke the sky with their machines. My father died in battle. My mother, I never saw her again." Her voice didn't shake. She didn't cry. She told it like stone. "I was captured during the last siege. They kept me alive because of my blood. Said I'd fetch a better price." Dane sat down across from her. "I'm sorry." She looked at him, eyebrows raised. "Why?" "Because you didn't deserve that." Her eyes softened for the first time. "And you?" she asked. "What did the Empire take from you?" Dane gave a bitter smile. "My brother." Reka's expression changed. Quiet. Curious. He was in a colony. They bombed it when a merchant refused to pay taxes. She nodded once, as if understanding. Then the AI spoke again. "New object detected. 0.3 light seconds away. Not broadcasting ID." Dane jumped up. "That's close." Reka moved to the screen. The object appeared. Small. Fast. Black as space. "A drone," she said. "A hunter drone." It wasn't just flying. It was smelling. Dane slammed the controls. The ship's engines hummed back to full power. "No more hiding," he said. He flew them low over an asteroid belt, using the rocks for cover. The drone followed. Reka strapped into the co-pilot seat. "It's locked onto me. It'll never stop. We'll make it stop." He twisted the ship through tight spaces. One wrong move would tear the hull open. Alarms screamed. The drone kept closing in. Reka stood up and pulled open a weapons cabinet. "What are you doing?" he asked. She grabbed a pulse rifle and a small box of grenades, opening the cargo hatch. "You're going to fight it outside?" "Yes." Dane stared at her. "You'll die." She looked at him calmly. "Then I'll die fighting." She walked to the hatch controls. Dane followed. "I didn't take you so you could throw yourself away." She turned to him. "You didn't take me," she said. "You freed me." The doors opened. Cold wind from space rushed in. The drone flew straight toward the ship. Reka leaped out, landing hard on an asteroid nearby. Her boots slipped, but she caught herself. The drone turned and came for her. Dane watched from the ship, fingers white on the controls. Reka stood tall, rifle raised. She didn't run. She charged. The drone opened fire, blue light cracking across the rocks. She dodged, rolled, and fired back. The first shot missed. The second hit. Sparks flew. The third shot hit something important. The drone fell, crashing into the rocks, burning. Reka dropped to one knee, breathing hard. Dane raced the ship to her side and pulled her aboard. "Are you crazy?" he yelled. She smiled weakly. "Maybe." He shut the doors. The drone was gone, but the signal was still out there, still calling. Later, as Reka cleaned the burn on her arm, she looked at Dane. "That was only the first one," she said. He nodded. "I know. They'll send more." He sat beside her. "Then we'll be ready." The Empire's teeth. They didn't knock. They tore the sky open. A wall of warships appeared, silent and deadly. They didn't come to capture. They came to erase. The stars shifted. Dane Carter sat in the cockpit of the Rustwing, watching space twist as they jumped through hyperspeed. Beside him, Reka sat silent. Her wound was wrapped, but her eyes stayed sharp, alert. Behind them, the ship's AI gave a slow beep. Tracking beacon neutralized. Signal disrupted. That should have been good news, but the silence after it felt too still. Dane leaned forward. "Show me deep scan reports." The screen filled with numbers. Then a strange shadow appeared. Massive, unmoving, and right in their path. "Wait, what is that?" The AI beeped again. "Warning, large gravitational presence detected ahead." Reka leaned in too. Her eyes narrowed. "That's no moon," she said. And she was right. As the Rustwing dropped out of hyperspace, the stars around them turned blood red from the reflected light. Ahead floated a fleet. Not one ship. Not 10. 24 Imperial warships formed in a crescent arc. Big ones, with silver-black hulls and glowing blue cannons. Their engines hummed like thunder waiting to roar. Dane cursed. They blocked the jump path. Reka's face went pale. They're not chasing anymore. They're surrounding. Incoming hail. Imperial Enforcement Fleet. Dane didn't answer. "Play it," he said. A cold voice filled the ship. "Unregistered human vessel. You are carrying a Class 3 escaped subject of the Shari Empire. Return the asset immediately. Failure to comply will result in vaporization." The message ended. Dane stared at the screen. "Well," he muttered, "at least they're polite." Reka stood up. "They're not here for arrest. That formation is for a kill zone." Dane finished. "Yeah, I see it." Her eyes locked with his. "If we run, we die." He looked at her. "If we stay, we die slower." He smiled. "That's my kind of plan." They moved fast. Dane rerouted power to shields. Reka armed the ship's twin cannons. But the Rustwing wasn't a warship. It was fast, old, and barely holding together. The warships began to move. Lines of light lit up their hulls as weapons charged. The countdown had begun. "Target their sensor arrays," Reka said. "If they can't see, they can't hit." Dane nodded. "Hang on." He slammed the engines to full power and dove low, spinning through the fleet's formation. The warships opened fire. Beams of blue and red shot past them. One scraped the back of the ship, sending sparks across the controls. Reka locked onto a sensor tower and fired. Direct hit. The ship exploded into debris. One of the warships began spinning, blind and drifting. "That's one," she said. "Don't get cocky," Dane muttered. They dodged another blast. Then another. Shields dropped to 70%. Reka ran to the back and loaded an old missile. Dane opened the side bay. "You're not seriously." She grinned. "Old tech. Empire doesn't expect it." She fired the missile straight into a destroyer's cooling vent. It exploded in a blinding flash. Dane whooped. "Okay, I like the way you think." But they were still outnumbered. Too many ships. Too many guns. The Rustwing took a heavy hit. The hull cracked. Warning lights flared. "We need to jump," Dane shouted. Reka looked at the controls. "They've locked the route. I can override it, but I need time. Then I'll buy you some." He turned the ship toward the heart of the fleet, straight at the command ship. Reka's eyes widened. "You're crazy." "Yeah," he said. "I've been told." The command ship was massive. Its cannons could break a moon. But it wasn't firing. Not yet. Dane flew low, weaving between the weapon arms. The ship's alarms screamed. Inside the Rustwing, lights flickered. Power dropped. Reka's fingers danced over the jump drive. Her hands shook, but she didn't stop. Almost done. Behind them, warships turned to follow. The command ship suddenly fired, not at them, but at the other ships. "What the hell?" Dane said. Reka looked up. "It's trying to keep them back." "Why?" She paused. "Because the general is on board. He wants me alive." Suddenly, the screen lit up. A new face appeared. Old, tall, eyes like ice. Reka froze. "Who is that?" "My uncle," she whispered. The man's voice boomed. "Reka, daughter of traitors. Come home. You belong in chains." She stepped forward. "I belong in fire," she said. Then she hit the console. Jump drive active. The ship bent space. Everything turned white. The warships vanished behind them. Silence returned. They reappeared in empty space. No stars. No signals. Just cold black. Dane shut down the emergency systems and let the ship drift. He looked at Reka. "You okay?" She sat down slowly. "No." He nodded. "Me neither." That night, as the ship floated in silence, Dane found her in the engine room. She was sitting cross-legged, staring at a broken piece of her collar. He sat beside her. "They're going to keep coming," she said. "I know. They'll send assassins, hunters, drones. My uncle won't stop." "I know." She looked at him. "You can leave me at the next outpost. You'll survive without me." He shook his head. "You think I'm doing this to save you?" She frowned. "Aren't you?" "No," he said. "I'm doing this because the galaxy is broken. And maybe helping you helps me fix just a little part of it." She didn't smile, but she leaned against his shoulder. Just for a second. The hidden planet. A whisper in the dark. A forgotten name. "There's one place they won't follow me." And so they went. To a dead world that once called her daughter. The Rustwing drifted through deep black space. No lights. No signals. Just the faint hum of the engine. Dane Carter stood in the cockpit, arms crossed, watching the stars move slowly past the glass. Behind him, Reka walked in quietly. Her steps were softer now. Not silent like before, not deadly, just thoughtful. "I know a place," she said. Dane didn't turn. "A place to hide." She stepped beside him. "No, a place they forgot, and a place they fear." Now he looked at her. Her golden eyes weren't angry. They weren't cold. They were remembering. "It's not on any map," she whispered. "They erased it, burned it from the stars." "What is it?" She said the name so softly, the AI failed to catch it. Dane waited. "My mother's planet," Reka said, "where the Shari were born." It took 5 jumps and 1 engine reset to reach the coordinates. The moment they dropped out of hyperspace, the screen turned black. "No signal," Dane muttered. "The scanners don't even recognize this system." Reka stood at the front window. Outside, a massive gray planet spun slowly. No sunlight reached it. No satellites circled it. Its surface was dark rock, cracked like old scars. But Reka's face changed. For the first time, she looked like someone coming home. Dane tapped the screen again. "There's no life. No power. Are you sure this is it?" She nodded. "It's sleeping," she said. They landed on the edge of a mountain range. The winds howled against the hull. The ground cracked beneath the ship's legs. As the cargo door opened, dust blew in. Reka stepped out first. Her boots sank into the black sand. She kneeled, pressed her palm to the earth, and closed her eyes. Dane followed, scanning the area with a handheld sensor. Still nothing. Dead as a rock. But then the scanner beeped. Faint. Beneath them. He looked at her. "There's something under this ground." Reka stood. A city. They moved through the canyons for hours. Twisted metal and stone towers lay broken under layers of ash. Statues with no faces. Buildings without doors. Everything ancient, silent, and buried in time. Reka walked without stopping. Finally, they reached a large round structure half covered in rock. She brushed her hand across a symbol near the door. 2 wings crossed over a flame. "This was our temple," she said. The door creaked open. Inside, it was cold and black. But the moment Reka stepped forward, lights flickered to life. Faint blue torches lining the walls. "How?" Dane whispered. "It remembers my blood," she said. The temple walls were covered in carvings. Shari warriors with swords of light, riding beasts across skies. One wall showed a woman in a crown. Her face looked a little like Reka's. "My mother," she said. "Queen Ailey." Dane stared. "You come from royalty." "I came from war," she replied. They reached the center chamber. A tall device stood in the middle, half machine, half stone. Reka touched it. It lit up. A blue light rose from the base and formed a glowing image. Shari writing, spinning symbols. And then, a voice. Blood recognized. Last hair confirmed. "Welcome, Reka." The room trembled slightly. Dane stepped back. "What is that?" "A beacon," Reka said. "A call to the old bloodlines." She looked down. "But no one is left to hear it." Suddenly, a hidden wall shifted. Behind it, rows of small metallic objects lay sleeping. Recording devices, memory stones, old weapons. Reka picked up one with shaking hands. "This one has her voice," she said. Dane watched as she placed it on the console. A soft voice echoed. "Reka, if you find this, I am already gone. But you must live. You must carry us forward." Reka turned away, tears forming but never falling. Dane placed a hand on her shoulder. She didn't pull away. He spoke quietly. "You're not alone anymore." They left the temple with a box of memory stones, a scroll of royal commands, and one weapon Dane didn't recognize, an ancient blade that pulsed faintly when Reka held it. But just as they reached the edge of the canyon, the sky lit up red. A ship broke through the clouds. Small, fast, but not imperial. Pirate design. Dane pulled out his scanner. No ID, no signal. Someone's watching us. Rekka drew her blade. Then we show them we're not prey. The pirate ship circled above, then landed on a ridge. A tall figure stepped out, helmeted, heavy armor, a rifle on his back. But he didn't aim. He spoke through a voice modulator. Rekka of the Shari, I followed your signal. The galaxy thought you were dead. Rekka stepped forward. Who are you? He took off his helmet. A blue-skinned alien, eyes full of battle scars. Someone who remembers who you were, and who you can still be. He dropped a metal cube on the ground. It opened, revealing the Shari crest. A few of us survived, he said. Hidden. Waiting. Rekka stared in shock. You're not alone, he said. Later that night, around a fire made from ancient wood and scrap, Rekka sat with Dane and the stranger, Torin, a former Shari general. He told stories of survivors, scattered across outlaw sectors, hiding from the Empire. We've been waiting for a symbol, he said, something to unite us again. Rekka looked down at her blade, then at Dane, then at the stars. I never wanted to lead, she said. Torin smiled. But you were born to. The next morning, the Rustwing left the dead planet behind, but inside it now flew a living flame. Not just a runaway, not just a survivor, a queen rising from ashes. Rise of the marked. A symbol beneath her skin began to glow. Not pain, not fear, but power. She was no longer running. She was waking. The Rustwing sailed quietly through uncharted space. Inside, Rekka stood in the medbay alone. She had rolled up her sleeve. On her shoulder, the ancient circle of the Shari seal, once faint, almost invisible, now pulsed with light, a soft blue glow under her skin, beating like a second heart. She didn't understand why. She only knew it had started after they left the temple. Elsewhere on the ship, Dane Carter was repairing the shield modulators. The last pirate encounter had fried half the wiring. His hands were dirty, his jaw clenched, and his back ached. But he smiled. Rekka had changed. She walked differently now, not like someone waiting for death, but like someone born for something bigger. She didn't hide her eyes anymore. And she had started calling him by his name. That meant more than she could explain, and more than he'd ever say out loud. That night, something went wrong. The ship jolted, lights flickered. Then the AI voice echoed. Warning. External breach detected. Infiltration in progress. Dane shot up. What? Before he could reach the controls, the ship shook again. A loud hiss came from the hull. Rekka came running, blade in hand. They found us. Dane grabbed his pulse gun. How? We disabled the tracker. Rekka pointed to her shoulder. The mark. It's not just for power. It's a beacon. Before they could jump to hyperspace, the ship was hit with a blast of EMP, electromagnetic pulse. Power gone. Lights out. Doors jammed. Then came the sounds. Clanks. Boots. Metal arms tearing open the side of the ship. Boarders. They fought in the dark. Dane fired at shadows. Rekka moved like lightning, cutting down armored attackers with her ancient blade. It glowed as it struck, burning through synthetic armor and metal limbs. But there were too many. A shock net hit Dane from behind. He dropped hard. Rekka turned, but a gas cloud swallowed her before she could reach him. Her eyes met his. Then she fell. When Dane woke up, everything was white. A prison cell. No windows, no noise, just him and steel. He tried to move, but chains held him to the floor. The door opened. A tall man walked in, cloaked in silver and blue, skin pale, ice cold. Rekka's uncle, General Vorin of the Empire. You must be Dane Carter, he said. Dane spat on the floor. Vorin smiled. Brave, foolish, loyal to a fault. He circled the cell like a vulture. She spoke of you once, before we captured her. Dane's heart raced. Where is she? Alive, Vorin said. For now. He leaned closer. You helped a runaway slave. You protected her, hid her, fought for her. He paused. You made her dangerous. Back on the Empire ship, deep in a sealed chamber, Reka was chained to a platform. Her arms were cut, bruised, but her eyes stayed strong. The guards kept their distance. Even chained, she had taken down 3 soldiers. Vorin entered the room. My niece, he said, shaking his head. You could have ruled. You could have lived in silk. And you chose dirt and rebels. Reka didn't answer. He walked closer. You still carry that blade, don't you? She smiled. Want to see it again? His hand flew to her throat. But then he paused. A light began to shine under her skin. The mark. It was no longer blue. It was gold. And it burned. Alarms went off across the Empire ship. Energy readings spiked. Unknown surges. The AI voice shouted warnings in 5 languages. Warning. Bloodline anomaly detected. Subject 21C. Awakening. Containment failing. Guards rushed in. Reka's chains cracked. The gold light from her shoulder raced down her arms and into her hands. And then, boom. The cell exploded outward. Reka stood in the smoke, gold energy rising from her skin like fire. Her blade reformed in her hand, called by her blood. The guards opened fire. She moved faster than light. Dane, still trapped in his cell, heard the sirens. The walls shook. The floor trembled. Then the door burst open. Reka stood in the smoke, blade glowing. Dane's mouth dropped open. You look different, he said. She stepped forward and sliced his chains. He fell into her arms. Can you walk? She asked. I'll crawl if I have to. They ran together. In the hangar bay, explosions echoed through steel halls. Reka's mark lit the way. The Empire guards tried to block the path, but every time they aimed, their weapons jammed. Their lights blinked out. Their armor overheated. The mark wasn't just power. It was control. She didn't fully understand it yet. But it listened to her, and it hated chains. They reached a shuttle, small but fast. Reka jumped into the pilot's seat. Dane manned the guns. They launched out of the Empire ship, dodging blasts from turrets. Behind them, the Imperial flagship began to spark and burn. Reka looked back once, then turned her eyes forward. Hours later, in quiet space again, Dane sat beside her, his arm wrapped in bandages, her shoulder still glowing. He finally asked, "What happened back there?" She looked at him. "My mother was born with the mark. My uncle feared it. The Empire tried to erase it from us." She raised her hand. "But it's still here. In me." She looked out at the stars. "And it's not finished." The galaxy watches. A single video leaked. A human standing beside an alien girl with glowing skin. He took her chains. She gave him a war. Now the galaxy is watching. And it cannot look away. The galaxy had seen war before. It had seen blood, empires, tyrants, and rebellions. But it had never seen this. The video spread in less than a day. Grainy footage. Reka, her silver skin glowing gold, her blade slicing through soldiers like wind through fire. Beside her, a wounded human limping through smoke, dragging a free prisoner to safety. Dane Carter. Not a soldier, not a king. Just a scavenger with a rusted ship and a stubborn heart. He had taken a slave as payment. Now he stood beside a queen born from ashes, and the galaxy couldn't stop watching. Across outlaw sectors, prisoners broke their chains. On mining colonies, workers whispered the name Reka like a secret prayer. In empire halls, senators trembled. Some begged for peace. Others demanded war. The mark was no longer a secret. The girl they had called subject now had a name. And more than that, she had a following. In a hidden part of space, deep within an old Shari fortress floating between stars, a new base was built. Not by armies, not by governments, by survivors, by rebels, by believers. Reka stood at the center of it all, cloaked in black and gold, her mark glowing under her armor. Beside her, always, was Dane. The day came quickly. Empire ships found them. 3 fleets, 100 warships. Reka and her people had only 20 ships, half of them stolen, the other half held together by hope and wires. But they didn't run. This time, they stood. "Why are we doing this?" Dane asked her the night before the battle. They stood alone in the old command chamber, a quiet storm building behind the glass. Reka looked at the stars. "Because I'm done hiding," she said. He stepped closer. "And if we lose?" She turned to him. "Then the galaxy will still see that we fought." She touched his hand. "And maybe they'll fight too." The battle began at sunrise. If you could call it sunrise in space. The Empire ships came in tight formations, cold and precise. But the rebels didn't meet them with fear. They came with fire. Reka led from the front, her ship a blur of light and motion. Dane flew at her side, his voice calm, steady, guiding his crew through chaos. It was not a clean fight. Explosions ripped through the void. Missiles crossed paths with plasma beams. Rebel ships fell, but not quietly. Every one took 2 enemies with them. Inside the Empire command ship, General Vorin shouted orders, watching the tide turn. He had underestimated her again. Not just her power, her spirit, and her effect on others. Halfway through the battle, something unexpected happened. More ships arrived. Not Empire, not rebels. Civilians, merchant vessels, old patrol cruisers, mining rigs with mounted guns. They answered the signal. The galaxy was watching. Now it was acting. Reka stood at the heart of it all, her mark glowing so bright the camera lens blurred when it looked at her. Every move she made inspired another. Every word she spoke traveled across signals. We are not slaves. We are not animals. We are not broken. We are rising. In the final hour, General Vorin sent one last message, a direct call. To her. Reka, surrender. Spare them. You know you cannot win this war. She replied with a calm voice. You already lost. The day you chained me. And the day I stood back up. Then she fired the final shot, straight into his command core. The Empire fleet scattered. Some surrendered. Some fled. A few exploded in silence. And in the space that followed, there was quiet. A quiet the galaxy hadn't heard in years. Days later, the footage of the battle played across 1,000 channels. The image of Reka standing on a shipwreck, flag in one hand, blade in the other. The image of Dane beside her, covered in dirt and blood, but smiling. Not because it was over, but because they had begun something. Back at the base, Reka stood with Dane under the stars. Her mark had stopped glowing, but the warmth remained. Do you regret it? She asked. Which part? All of it. He looked at her. No, he said. I regret waiting this long to fight for something. She smiled. A soft smile. Real. And far beyond them, in places they hadn't seen, little kids played pretend, holding sticks as blades and wearing bedsheets as cloaks. They didn't want to be Empire soldiers anymore. They wanted to be like her. And him. The girl with the fire in her skin. The man who walked beside her. Not as master. Not as owner. But as family.